Thank you, Senator Whitehouse, and
Senator.
thank you to the witnesses. And I'd like to thank Chair Grassley and Ranking Member Durbin and their staff for pulling together this hearing. Look, this is an important topic all over the country. Certainly in my home state, Delaware has a retail crime prevention task force to examine and better understand this issue, and it's a focus for Delaware's Law Enforcement Fusion Center. Interstate organized networks present challenges for any one state, and so I'm very open to seeing how we can coordinate federal resources and federal legislation to help address this and to coordinate intelligence sharing and prosecution. How we disrupt organized networks, I think, is also important, that we avoid wasting precious federal resources on just minor shoplifters as opposed to those who are actually part of an organized effort. I've long been concerned about the criminalization of poverty. That's why I've led the bipartisan Driving for Opportunity Act with the support of Senators Grassley, Tillis, Whitehouse, Blumenthal, and Booker. And I think we need to avoid unintentionally exacerbating the problem while addressing the critical issue of organized retail theft. Ms. Stephan, thank you for the NDAA's long support of my Driving for Opportunity Act. I appreciated how your testimony recognized the importance of distinguishing between petty theft from sophisticated ringleaders. Could you say just a little bit more about that? What sort of indicators are there in investigation that you're dealing with just casual petty theft versus those who are committing casual petty theft in order to feed into an organized criminal ring?
Thank you so much, Senator. And part of having the data and having organized task forces helps us make those distinctions in a more factual manner, not stereotyping. So being able to look at a track record, at the data points, how many times has this person been captured doing the same thing and stealing the exact same item, which they can't possibly need 200 sunglasses. There's got to be another use that isn't one that makes it a necessity or something that should be dealt with at a lower level, not an organized crime level. So relying on data, and I think that is part of why I support this federal, is not only to make more prosecutions, that's really important, but to distinguish the correct organized level and hold those who are really pulling the strings. And sometimes they're using vulnerabilities such as homeless people trying to feed an addiction, a young kid who's wants to have a phone, different things. We've seen those solicitations of young people, vulnerable people. So having the correct data at the national level, the state level, the local level allows prosecutors to make good decisions that comport with justice.
Thank you. I also have to vote. One last question, if I might. Mr. Glawe, on behalf of the National Insurance Crime Bureau, any thoughts about how we would get better data? I mean, you gather data in a very broad way, neutral way. How do we make sure that we've got that data and that we're sharing it effectively and broadly?
Senator, thank you for the question. So we bring together over 1,200 property and casualty insurance carriers and the claims associated with crime and suspicious activity. We've done this for 115 years. We started with auto thefts. We were actually the hub for all auto thefts back in 1912. So this is what we do, and I would say we do it really, really well. But that engagement and partnership with state, local law enforcement, and the private sector, and my partners to my left and Summer, is critical to this. And we've seen the centers, and I've said this throughout my testimony, the Organized Crime Drug Enforcement Center, the Counterterrorism Center, the Counterproliferation Center, a center to bring us all together and unite us, public and private sector, but as well as running the information against national security threats. So we're prioritizing resources against the biggest threats to the homeland of Mexican drug cartels, terrorist organizations, nation states, Iran, North Korea. We know they're involved in organized crime. Some of the biggest cases I had were in the FBI, was against those organizations. So a holistic approach, and this bill would have that first step for us to start building that center so we can prioritize resources and all have strategic and tactical intelligence to address this threat.
Thank you. That makes great sense to me. I appreciate all of your testimony. This will conclude our hearing, and any written questions can be submitted for the record for 1 week from today. I'll ask the witnesses to answer and return those questions to the committee within 2 weeks. Thank you again, and this hearing is hereby adjourned.
Thank you.